In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can use Nerdy's Player Animator to make custom synced attack animations for any sword you want. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here we are in Blockbench. So here is a model that we use for animating. And if we go to animate, here is the swing sword animation that I made for a previous tutorial for custom sword animations, and it's real simple. So what you want to do in order to export the animation that you have, or how I'm just going to show you an example of how you would export this animation. Either you could do Control S, which will save everything in general, or what I usually would do is, if there's not an option to export up here, I would right click on here and then do Save As. And then, there you go. So now let's go ahead and go to MCreator and start working on it. Alright guys, here we are in the workspace. So in order to get started with, having the animation play, we need to import the animation. So what you want to do is do Resources, and then Player Animations, and then Import Player Animations. Okay, so I imported the animation, and so you should see whatever the file name was. Mine was Test Swing Animation, and then Animation Swing Sword. Alright, so now let's go back to Mod Elements. And then, so let's go ahead and create the procedure. This is going to be the main procedure. So do plus icon, press P or find procedure. Alright, so I'm just going to name this player swing delay, kind of like what I did last time. And then, so what you want to do is change the no additional trigger to be on player tick update. And then click on that. Alright, so now what you want to do is go to flow control and then do if do. And then we'll drag that out and then click this little gear icon and then drag the elf is 5 times or however many swords you have. I'm going to do the base Minecraft swords. So there's 5 swords excluding the wooden sword. So the if counts as 1, and then we're going to also do the other swords. So there's 5 other swords. So we'll do if else, drag that in 5 times. There we go. And then you can click on the gear icon again, and then that will close that. Now let's go ahead and drag out another if statement, flow control if do, and then put it on top, and then drag this inside of the if. Alright, so now that we did that, let's go ahead and search procedure box and then do swinging an arm. This will be for the player whenever they swing the arm on the tick update. So drag this out and then put it onto the if do Minecraft components, drag out the red box. So then go to logic and then drag out the red statement. But then what you want to do is put the red box into this one, and then go to search procedure box and then search main dash hand of. So then we'll find item and main hand of, and then drag that into the first slot. And then what you want to do is put it into this if statement and then just duplicate it and then fill out each else if. Alright, so now we can go ahead and put inside these little boxes the swords that we want to do. So I need to do display filter, type in sword, and then here are the swords. There's the wooden, stone, iron, gold, diamond, and netherite. Alright, so now we finished that. So now it's time for the delay in the animation itself. So if we go back into Blockbench, what we need to do now is find when he strikes. About here is when he strikes. That's so it is roughly 7 ticks. So now that we have this new info, we know exactly when to have the damage be output. Now let's go ahead and do world procedures and then actions. And then what you want to find is scroll down and then find the for each entity as entity iterator. So drag that into one of the do's. I'm going to do the top one. And then what you want to do now is do for the square cube with size. This is basically how many blocks away it'll detect. You really want it to be big so that way, it goes through. So I'm just going to do 50. All right, so now that we have that, we want to go to flow control, if do, and then let's go back to flow control and then scroll down and do the wait 20 ticks on server side, and then put in maybe 7 ticks or however when your animation strikes. So now what you want to do is for the damage. The thing we need to do, we need to go to damage procedures, and then what you want to find is damage source of type, and then for the no entry selected, find player attack. So let's do player and then attack, And then what we want to do is find the deal damage. Alright, so then you need to find deal damage to from source. So click on that and then find it. It was right here. So put it into the procedure and delete damage source of type and then replace it with this one. And then now you can do whatever damage you want. So it's a wooden sword. We need to make sure the damage is right. So it gets rid of 2 hearts per hit with the wooden sword. So we'll do 4 damage because 1 damage counts as half a heart. Okay, so what you want to do is kind of like what I did with my last tutorial. Go to Entity Procedures and then find Data and then scroll down until you find Custom Logic MBT tag and then drag that out. And then for the tag name, I'm going to do Custom Attacked. And then what you want to do is go to Logic and then drag this out and then put this onto the first slot and then go back to Logic again and then do the true and then keep that on true. And then what you also want to add to the wait procedure, we need to make sure that the custom attack gets set to false. You'll see why we're doing this later on, but right now we need to make sure that we get this done. So drag this out and then do the same NBT tag name, so custom attack, and set it to false. So now what we can do, now that we have that, duplicate these and then put it to each individual procedure. So alright, so then now that we did that, let's go ahead and set the damage input for each one. So for the stone sword, it would be 5. For the iron, it'd be 6 damage. Gold, it would be 7. Diamond, it would be 8. And netherite, it would be 9. Alright, my bad, guys. What I forgot to mention is for the deal damage to, we got to make sure that it's not event/target entity. It needs to be entity iterator. So we need to make sure that we delete all these. Entity iterator. So duplicate that. Change it to entity iterator. And then also make sure that everything in general is entity iterator because that is what the whole point of this procedure was. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So let's do save model element, and then so now let's do another procedure for whenever an entity is attacked. That's what we're going to use for the custom attacked NBT tag. So let's do the plus icon, press P for the procedure, and then name this one entity attacked sword NBT. Alright, so now that we have the name, click on create new procedure. And then for this time, we're going to change no additional triggers to entity is attacked. So make sure that's selected, and then so now what we can do is go to flow control and then do if do. So now that we did that, we can go ahead and find logic, drag this out, and then change it to or. This is going to be for the swords and stuff. So now we can right click on it and do external inputs. So what you want to do is, since we have 6 swords that we're doing, or however many you have, you could have maybe 2, 3 or something. But I'm going to do all the Minecraft swords, so there's 6 swords I need to do. So what we need to do is go to Logic, drag out this, and then go back to Minecraft components, drag the red box out, and put that in there, and then search up main-hand of, again, and then do item in main hand of, drag it into that, and then put it into the top of the ore. So now, we need to keep duplicating this until we get to 5. And then now we can duplicate the red box this time. So duplicate that and then put it in here. So it should look like this if you're doing all the base Minecraft swords. And then we'll just do what we did last time and change these all into like the wooden sword, stone, and all that. Alright, so now that we did that, let's go ahead and drag it into the if. Alright, so what you want to do now is delete all the event/target entities. So whenever an entity is attacked, we need to make sure that we get the source entity, aka that it's going to be us. So what we'll do is do Minecraft components and then do source entity. This is going to detect whoever got attacked. Alright, so now what we'll do is go to flow control and then do if do. And then so now let's go to logic, drag out this, and then go back to logic, drag out the true symbol, and then set this to false. So now we need to go back to entity procedures and drag out the custom NBT tag. So let's scroll down until we find that, and then here it is, and then set this to the same NBT name. So mine was custom attacked. Alright, so then now let's go back to actions, scroll down, get the custom logic MBT tag, and then rename this to custom attacked. So the procedure is basically done. But the problem is that if we leave this in like as it is, the main thing that's not good about it is the fact that whatever entity we attack will get hit twice. Because we're not canceling the attack, we're just detecting, like, so that way we can have the delayed attack that we customly set. So what we need to do is cancel the default attack. So what you want to do is go to advanced and then cancel event that triggered global trigger. So then put this underneath the if do, then now we are done. So save mod element, and then so now for the custom animation itself. So here is a workaround that I figured out, so that way we can have the custom attack animation. Maybe MCreator will have this one day, but what you want to do is do the plus icon, press K for keybind, and then name this maybe play sword animation, and then create new keybind, and then keep this on none. And then, so now what we want to do is do on key pressed. So create a procedure for that. All right, so now we have this. So we need to go to flow control, if do, and then for the do statement, let's go to player animator, and then drag out if event slash target entity is player, play animation. So put it into here, and then for no entry selected, do the swing sword or whatever animation name you have. All right, so now I want to do play in first person, and edit any setting you want on this procedure, but that's what I'm going to have. So now it's a game of doing like what we did for this. So we need to make sure that we have all the swords listed. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, here we are. We are finished doing that. So now for the final thing is just to drag it into here. So let's go and save mod element, and then go back to keybind. And then so for the keybinding category, I might do gameplay because it's part of the game or whatever. So I'm going to do save mod element now. And so now let's go ahead and try it out in the game. Alright, so here we are in Minecraft. So what you want to do is, in order to make sure that the keybind works to play the custom animation, we got to make sure that we go to options, controls, and then keybinds, and then scroll down to where your custom keybind is. So here it is, minus play sword animation. What you want to do in order to make sure that it plays whenever you're, attacking them, you got to make sure that's left click. So click on not bound and then left click. So then it should say left button. So click on done, done, done. And let's go and try it in the game. Okay, so here we are in the game. So now let's go ahead and try left clicking. And as you can see, everything is normal. It's just playing the default Minecraft attacking animation and stuff. But let's go to the combat area, and then let's drag out all these swords and try to see if they work. So here are all the swords, and there's quite a bit. So now what we should notice is when I left click, it plays the custom animation. So let's try it. Stone, iron, gold, diamond, netherite, and they all play the animations. That's awesome. But the main question is, will it do the delay? So let's go to spawn eggs, find a mob we can attack. So I'm going to do maybe a chicken, just for fun. So let's do chicken. So if we hit normally, it's normal attacking. But if we hit him with the custom sword, it did the delay. So maybe let's do netherite, and it does the delay animation. Anyways, guys, if y'all enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. It would really help out the channel. If you have any MCreator mod ideas, feel free to ask me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.